Hello, my name is Jimmy Vegas and welcome to this, the 12th in a series of video tutorials for Unity 5. So, in the past couple of episodes we've pieced together a sort of a fighting thing going on. So we've got our weapon and we've got our enemy. But these are only placeholders at the moment. So in this episode we're going to quite simply replace these placeholders whilst keeping them there, because it will become apparent in the future. And we'll also build up a new small town. As the next episode we'll be starting quest scripting, so we're just going to build a few little things to prepare for that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to replace our weapon with an actual weapon. To do that, down here we're going to go to Objects and we're going to import this folder called Axe. Now, as I always say, all the assets we use in these tutorials can be obtained for free on our website. Head over there, link is in the description, and go to Downloads and Assets and you can pick it up there. So if you go into the Axe folder, and you'll see here, this here is axe.obj, which is an object. So all we need to do is just drag and drop this into our scene, preferably in here if you can. If not, stick it anywhere in your scene, and over here you'll see Axe in your hierarchy. All you need to do then is drag that into this object, which is our weapon. So if you click the weapon in your scene, you'll notice it here. Just drag and drop like so. And now your axe is attached to the weapon. However, it's not there, is it? The reason being is it is massive at the moment and it's not in the correct position, as you can see here with these random numbers. So to do that, all we'll need to do is if we go to the position and type 0, 0 and 0, you'll see it is in the position, but it is still huge. So let's change the scale here. Let's put this as 0.1, 0.05 maybe, and 0.1. Next thing we need to do to make it a bit more clearer is our weapon. Over here, make sure it is clicked. Over here, take off Mesh Renderer. So click this here. You'll see that the mesh around our imaginary cylinder disappears, just leaving the axe. So let's go back onto our axe and let's adjust this correctly. So if you go to rotation on the Y, type 90. And you'll see the axe turn, and it now looks like that. So we set up our animation originally with this cylinder here. So anything that's attached to the cylinder will animate along with it. So if we press play, hopefully with a bit of luck, we should see our axe in a fairly decent position. It's not perfect, but it still works. So what we need to do is we need to shrink our axe a little more. So I'm going to say a nice number would be 0.0, maybe 0.03. That looks a bit more like it. Let's press play again. Okay, that's a bit more like it. That'll do. So before we go any further with our enemy replacement, if we walk over here and into our house, you'll notice our weapon disappears through. So we need to fix that before we go any further. It's fairly easy to do. If you go to your first person controller just here, and you have character controller. Down here you have radius. Simply change this to 1. When we press play, and walk back over to our house, it shouldn't go through anymore. Oh, it does a little, so we just need to increase that. So let's have 1.2 to be safe. Now all this does is increase the radius of how far you can actually get close to something. You'll see the green line or green sphere appear around your character. So now, whatever we try and do, our weapon shouldn't go through anywhere. There we go. Okay. Next thing we'll do is we will replace our enemy with an actual enemy rather than a capsule. So to do that, I'm going to import this rat folder. So again, drag and drop straight into Unity. Actually, it needs to go in this objects folder here. So if you're in a different folder, just drop it here in objects. As I said before, it is available for free on the website. Head over there. There's tons of other assets you can get there for different series if you want to use them in this series. So it'll take just a second on this one. I think the size of this one is just a little bit bigger than the axe, so we just need to wait for a second to import. Shouldn't take too long, I don't think. So it's now imported, and here you can see rat. So you can take either one of these. It doesn't matter too much whether it's the 3DS version or whether it's the object version. Nice and simple. Drag and drop into your scene. It doesn't matter whether you drag it on here or into your scene itself. Then make sure you have your enemy 001, which is your capsule, selected, and drag and drop the rat onto it. And again, what we did with the weapon, let's zero out all of the position. And the rat itself is going to be huge. I'll give you an indication of what it's like. So let's double click, and you can see that that is the size of our world. The rat is bigger than our world. So quite simply, we just need to decrease it in size. So we'll do, let's say, 0.02, 0.02, 0.02. So now, hopefully, it's still rather large. So let's decrease 0.01, 0.01, 0.01. Still large, but we're getting smaller. General rule of thumb is if your asset is massive, then theoretically it will be higher quality in the long run. So you don't need to worry too much about it. So I'm going to try and decrease the size yet again. So we need possibly 0.003, 0.003, 0.003. Okay, so we're looking a bit better now. So I am hoping that if we move this now, we just kind of need to place our rat in the correct position. So move him around to about there. And then back onto enemy 001. And you should have guessed it by now, you just need to take off the mesh renderer. So when we press play, we should see our big ugly rat right there. So we're hitting him, very nice. Okay. So you can replace that with anything you want. If you want for now, you can probably keep just the cylinder if you want to. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is back into objects here. Let's quickly bring in our new small town, which we'll use as our quest starting place. So you'll have small town just there. Bring this in, and I'm going to put it here. So this one will take just a minute or so to import, as within this one there are quite a few different assets that we are going to use. Hopefully it won't take too long. Oh, there we go. That was fairly quick. So we've got an error down here. We don't need to worry about that. It's just telling us it can't import certain things that don't exist. Which is a bit strange, but we don't need to worry about that at all. If you get that, go to console, go to clear. It's not a big deal. So next, go into your small town, go into your FBX folder, and you'll see we have 2 houses and a lantern. So first things first, let's bring in this house, and it is fairly small. So let's increase the size. Let's put this as, let's see, what's a good number? 15, 15, 15. It's still far too small. So let's increase this size. Let's put 50, 50, 50. Okay, that looks slightly better. Let's press play and let's have a quick look. Is that a reasonable size? Could do with being a little bigger, so we'll make it a little bigger. Let's have it as 80, 80, and 80. Okay, that looks a much better size. So let's drag it over here, drag it back, and I'm going to rotate on the Y axis by 180. Okay, that looks fine. Let's bring in our second house, about there. And let's I tell you what, let's think of a good number. Let's have, I tell you what I will quickly explain is if you notice here you have a scale of 161. Try and keep these to scale. So to make it easy, what I'm going to do is say 100 by 600 by 100. So now that looks a little bit more realistic. So let's take this and put that about there. I'm going to move this one over a little more, and I'm going to move this just a little more, and then back a touch to about there. So now press play. And our little village is starting to take some sort of shape. As you can see, we go through them at the moment. So what I'm going to do quickly is just on this one, I'm going to add component, physics, and box collider. Now the box collider itself isn't exactly perfect around the building, so we need to shrink it just a little. Very random numbers again there. So let's play with these random numbers. All you need to do is just change these numbers up and down so they match the size here. So you can hover over, say, the X, and you'll see two little arrows appear beside your mouse, and you can move them around to fit like that. And in all fairness, I think that might do actually. Yeah, I think we'll leave that as it is for now because we don't want to walk into the house. Again, we can always fine tune at a later date. So we can walk and we don't walk through our house. And again, same with this one, we don't walk through this one. This one, however, we do. But we'll want to go inside this house. So what we'll do is, let's think of a good way we can do this. Now you can either do this by adding box colliders, or you can do the other way we did, like this one where you add cubes. If you remember, we put the base there as a cube, somewhere we step onto. You could do that around this as well, if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. So let's try this quick way first. So physics, box collider, and the box collider appears there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it out. Oops. Let's keep it there. So we need to bring this box collider against this wall. Nice and easy. Let's see. Let's have the size set on the X as, what's a good size? 5, maybe too much, I think. Y, let's set that as 10, and the Z as 10 as well. So we need to set the center in the correct place. I think this, I'll tell you what, because we've got this set scale like that, it's probably easier to do it the other way. If you want to do it like that, you can. You can set your box collider that way, but I'm going to remove that component as a matter of fact. And I'm going to go to Game Object, 3D Object, Cube. So right click, rename, let's call this House 3 underscore wall 001. So now just align this cube to where you want it to go. So you are in effect like building a house. It's not the most perfect way of doing things in Unity because you have to remember that Unity is not a modeling engine. It is just you're better off learning, for example, 3D Studio Max to do this more accurately. I unfortunately don't know 3D Studio Max or Blender that well, so it's easier for me to show you this way. It's not difficult, and it doesn't put too much strain on your machine to do so. So let's increase this. Oops, that's I'm getting myself carried away there. So the scale on the Z, let's have that as 5. Let's move it into place about there. Let's change the scale on the let's see, X. We'll change it to 0.2. Let's move it outwards slightly, and let's change the scale on the Y to 5. So we have the wall there sorted. So we can duplicate and move it to the other side. So let's get this aligned fairly well. That'll do there. So let's duplicate once again. And I'm going to rotate this one 90 degrees. And let's put this as the back wall. As I say, if you don't have too much modeling experience, this way is probably going to be the best way. It's not perfect, as I say, but then again, what is perfect in game development? So let's put that there, and let's increase the size on the Z or Z axis to 10. That looks decent. Let's increase that. I think that needs to go to about 6 there. That's fine, and possibly on the other side of 6. So let's bring our camera around. So it was... Oh, I've just realised I didn't duplicate that one, my fault. So I'm going to duplicate that now. Bring it to there. Let's duplicate again, so hold Control, press D, remember. Rotate 90 degrees, and let's align this by the window, covering the window. Sorry. So we change the Z or Z axis to 4. So I'd say you kind of build in walls around existing walls, which may seem a bit daft at the moment, but it makes sense in the end. And let's increase that to 5. I think that's too big, so we may need to decrease that 4.5. Okay, that looks fine. So now, wall 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, drag and drop them onto house 3 and roof. And then untick Mesh Collider. Make sure all 5 walls are ticked, and then tick Untick Mesh Renderer. Sorry. Press play, and then hopefully our house is intact, and we shouldn't be able to walk through the walls. But we should be able to walk inside. Can't quite walk inside, so we just need to change that very slightly here. Because if you remember, we increased the size of our radius for our collider. So you have to keep that in mind when you're doing this. So we just need to decrease this ever so slightly. So we'll change the scale on there. You'll notice because we have coupled it, it has decreased the size here. It's scaled it correctly. So I'm just going to pull it out slightly. And the same with this wall. Pull it out just slightly. And now hopefully we should be able to walk. Still can't walk inside. Okay. We'll increase the size of the actual house itself. So this is what I find good fun about Unity. The trial and error things and finding new things out whilst playing around. So we've increased the size, the scale to 90. Now let's try. Let's see if we can fit our big fat tummy through the door. Not quite. So let's increase it yet again. Tell you what, let's do it safe. Let's do 110 by 100. Oops. 110. 110. Let's just check we're not intersecting any objects. That one is a little, so let's move that back. And hopefully, maybe now. And we can get in. So we're inside our building. We can't really get out, but we need to sort our walls out a little because, as you can see, they do intersect with our weapon. So what we need to do, quite simply, is we need to increase the size on the x-axis here. So I think because it's a little bit awkward, I know. So we just need to kind of make this a bit thicker. So I'm going to put as a figure here, that. There we go. So I'm going to make the thickness on all of them 0.01 if they're coupled. If you have them uncoupled and not in here yet, then play around. Get the right size for yourself. So 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, and last one, 0.01. Press play. I just hope we can get through that door now because we've extended. We should be able to. There we go. So as you can see, we have a little bit of intersection, but it's all trial and error. So I just need to kind of pull the walls in just a little bit. So I need to pull that one in slightly and the back wall in just slightly. So now, one last time, in, and there we go. Okay, so this building here, this house, the next episode I intend to put an NPC in there who will give us our first quest. And the next episode, as I say, we'll be doing a lot of scripting on quests. We'll be doing text boxes, so when we talk to someone we get a text box with whatever they're saying, and we'll also be playing with variables to set up our quest. So until the next episode, in fact, no, do you know what? We've forgotten one little thing. The lantern. Drag and drop the lantern straight on there. Let's increase the size. Let's have the scale as 20, 20, 20. There's our nice little lantern. So at the beginning of the next episode as well, we'll play around with a bit of light. So have fun. Play around with the assets you've been given. Remember, take care with these. Play around whichever way you want to when you're creating the colliders so as it doesn't go through. You can do it either way, as I say. So until next time, thank you very much for watching.